We are in November. And do you remember, like 2 months ago, they were looking at this 3-eye atlas saying hostile aliens are going to be here in November. Today is November 4th, and I'm waiting on those aliens. The government is shut down right now, and so NASA, being a government-funded agency, they're not really releasing pictures that they have, and there's all kinds of mudding of the water, conspiracy theories, and misinformation, disinformation. But I'm gonna point out some things that are going on right now, because the media likes to promote one side and not the other, and mock and ridicule one side and praise the other side. So why does the press mock the concept of fallen angels, but roll out the red carpet for it might be a craft in disguise? Marjorie Taylor Greene just went on a talk show, and she said that she believes aliens are fallen angels. Avi Loeb, this guy has been on the news, mainstream media news, like crazy. He's saying that there is something strange about this comet. So, you know, I'm talking to people who are really into mainstream media, and they're saying, no, you know, they've already debunked this thing. It's just a comet. They're watching it. It's going behind the sun. I got a lot of questions about some of that anyway. They tell us that the sun is 1,000 times bigger than the earth. It's 93 million miles away. And yet they're looking at a comet the size of Manhattan and following that thing behind the sun. I got questions. I don't believe that they're seeing stuff, but that's just my own personal opinion. They seem to have a lot of information about this comet. They can tell what the core of it is made out of. I got questions about that kind of thing. But either way, there's some people that are saying they debunked it. It's just a comet. It's just going. And yet this guy right here, Avi Loeb, keeps getting the mainstream media platform. And what's he keeps saying? There's something strange about this. It's moving in ways that gravity shouldn't allow if it's just a comet. It's changing colors. It's got, I've even read that there are geysers simultaneously igniting on this thing all over, and people are saying this is exhaust. When you look up Marjorie Taylor Greene and look up what the media right now is saying about her, they are mocking and ridiculing her for sharing her ideas that these things could be demons. Why not? Hey, this is 2025. We're like open-minded, right? You're not allowed to like mock people's beliefs. If you believe it, then it must be true, right? If you believe you're a woman and you're actually a male, then you have to agree with that. You can't disagree, because that's hate speech, right? But this lady shares that according to her personal belief system, she believes these things are fallen angels, and yet they mock and ridicule her. And you see, here's more articles where they're saying, you know, oh, she thinks they're fallen angels. We're going to look at that last article too that says the times. It says, in an age of demons, we must fight to enlighten. We're going to look at that. But I want to just show you the bias, the mainstream narrative bias when you look up these topics on Google. And she was on Bill Maher's show, and this is what she said. She shared her belief about that she thinks these things are aliens. Now, I'm gonna show you this straight from YouTube, because I want you to see that this got 1.1 million views in 3 days. All right. These are the platforms that people are watching. They're not watching these other things that are saying, oh, it's just a comet or whatever. This interview took a turn because in the beginning, he's announcing the director for some new documentary coming out called something about disclosure. And they're applauding him and praising him. Oh, he's so brave to be talking about this subject. You know, the government's hiding this stuff, and we need to, the people need to know, right? That's what they're saying. And then he goes on and says this. Listen to this.
You know what I found scary? The part about the people at the Pentagon who say it's demons. Tell them that story. Tell them about the demons. Yeah, it's Halloween. Yes. Tell them about the demons. What is that?
Okay, you already hear like the people laughing, right? And the way he's presenting, he's like, oh, yeah, tell them about the people that believe in demons, right? And the whole crowd is laughing. Listen.
So in the film, one of the senior intelligence officials named Jay Stratton. He was the director of Air and Space Warfare at the Defense Intelligence Agency, and then he ran the U.S. government's UAP task force. He tells a story about how he was trying to run this issue up the flagpole and bring attention to it.
At the Pentagon.
At the Pentagon, in a serious office space. And his superiors told him that they thought these things were demons and that he was doing the devil's work by looking into it. And on camera in the film, he says, I can't believe these words were coming out of their mouths. He's like, I'm briefing them on an advanced aerospace vehicle that's absolutely there. It's been spotted by trained observers like our Navy fighter pilot.
So he's like saying, I can't believe these words are coming out of their mouth because these things are real. We look at them on instruments, on radar and all this stuff. So they're thinking that because these people said they think it's demonic, that they're not physically there, I guess. Demons are real. I mean, if you believe in the spirit world, if you believe the Bible, demons are very real, and they appear to humans and have throughout all history. Think about the Garden of Eden, right? Eve actually talked to a physical snake in the garden. That's just one example, but they're mocking this idea that these things could be demonic.
In their $80 million airplanes that we trust them with, right? It's been spotted on data collection systems like satellite and radar, and this guy's telling me it's a demon. It's insane. And
insane.
And he's like, my mind was blown, and this is something I'm dealing with inside of the government.
It's Halloween. Let me just ask the final question for the panel. Do you think demons and the devil are real?
Absolutely. I'm a Bible-believing Christian. I definitely, and I believe those could be fallen angels.
All these things could be real.
Fallen angels?
Yeah,
The aliens are fallen angels.
That's possible. I think that's what they could be. That's what makes sense in my worldview.
Michael?
No.
Sorry. And that's why we came here to disagree, but still appreciate each other for having the conversation. Happy Halloween. Thank you very much.
It was like 3-1 plus the audience all mocking and ridiculing the idea that aliens could be demons. All right, so this is what the mainstream media is pushing, right? They're making you believe, they're programming you with programs that the idea of demons in disguise, disguising themselves as aliens to deceive the entire world, like the Bible actually says, is ridiculous. It's just insane, the guy said, to think that. I think that's very interesting because the media is a powerful, powerful tool. It brainwashes people, literally. When you look up who is Marjorie Taylor Greene, you're going to see, she's 51 years old. She's a U.S. representative. But then you scroll a little bit further and you see right here, it says, is an American far-right politician, businesswoman, and conspiracy theorist. Now, why would they say that? Why are they going to label her a conspiracy theorist? Why? Because she actually thinks outside the box. She actually thinks outside the mainstream narrative. Now, I know nothing about this woman. I'm not promoting her. Don't get it twisted. If you guys know me at all, you know that I think that all politicians are all puppets. Satan's the god of this world. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against the powers of the rulers of the darkness of this age. Satan is at the top. It doesn't matter who you vote for. Your votes don't count. Trump's a puppet. Biden's a puppet. They're all puppets. Two wings of the same bird, left wing, right wing. But what I'm getting at is this is brainwashing propaganda. This woman believes some things, at least her character that she plays believes some things that I believe. But they label her a conspiracy theorist because that word comes with a stigma to it. There's nothing wrong with the word conspiracy. We know that conspiracies are real. They've existed for all of time, that you can't trust kings and rulers and Hitler or Stalin or Pharaoh. It goes all the way back to the beginning of time. You cannot trust the leaders of this world because they are conspiracists. They are conspiring behind the scenes. And the word theory, nothing wrong with theory. That's like the next step right before a scientific fact, right? But you put the words together and suddenly you get this stigmatized word, a label, conspiracy theorist. So you look her up. What I'm getting at is you look her up. This lady who's actually thinking outside the box, voicing opinions that aren't the normal mainstream narrative, right? Conspiracy theorist. Well, yeah, just look at this. The Guardian talked about this. They said Marjorie Taylor Greene tells Bill Maher she believes extraterrestrials are demons. Georgia Republican lawmaker also claims she didn't know Rothschild's family or of her space laser theory was Jewish. So she said something back in 2018, something that I actually believe. She said that the California wildfires she thought were caused by lasers from space, from satellites or something. She thinks that lasers started those fires. Now they're bringing up that conspiracy theory, bringing it back to the surface to make her look nuts, right? Because they know that this is not the mainstream belief from people. So they're like, oh, aliens are demons, woo, and there's Jewish space lasers out there. You know, it says right here, Republican U.S. House member Marjorie Taylor Greene has said that she believes in demons, surmising that they might be aliens who fell from heaven, and claims to be unaware that key figures in the anti-Semitic space lasers conspiracy she floated were Jewish. She didn't say anything about Jewish people whatsoever. We're going to look at that post later. She made a post on X in 2018 about, it was a lengthy post, and she was making some valid points, and she's saying, she's questioning the mainstream narrative. These fires don't look natural. I believe that there is a conspiracy going on. I believe they were started by lasers. She never mentioned anything about Jewish laser beams or anything like that, but they're labeling her anti-Semitic. That's another hate speech. You know, there's all these protected sects out there, right? There's the LGBT movement. You're not allowed to say anything against them. That's hate speech. You're not allowed to say anything against this minority of people because it's anti-Semitic. So automatically, if you say anything about this group of people, you're wrong. You're the one that's racist. You're racist. And when you look up the guy who directed this UFO documentary, The Age of Disclosure, this is what you see. Instead of seeing, oh, conspiracy theorist and all this, right? Because he's actually saying the public needs to know the truth. The government's hiding. The aliens are real. The UFOs are real. We demand that you tell us the truth. And he's not labeled a conspiracy theorist. No, it's Dan Farah is an American producer, director, and manager known for producing his blockbuster film Ready Player One and directing the documentary The Age of Disclosure. Wait, it doesn't say directed the conspiracy theorist documentary Age of Disclosure. No, it's proclaiming it like it's something great. So I just want you to see the comparison, right? You got conspiracy theorist and acclaimed film director who's directing this movie documentary, The Age of Disclosure. Oh, he's so great. When you look up 3i Atlas, this is what the top news is. Notice I screenshotted this from Google. Top news, New York Post. Manhattan-sized interstellar object 3i Atlas accelerates and turns bluer. Some think 3i Atlas is a comet. This scientist says it may be a UFO. The Times. The Economic Times. 3i Atlas shows signs of alien engine and non-gravitational acceleration. Oh, South Florida media. Interstellar object 3i Atlas exhibits unexpected non-gravitational acceleration. Mysterious 3i Atlas interstellar object continues to do weird stuff. So right now, what they're pushing from the mainstream media is this thing is not normal. That the government's hiding something from you. NASA's hiding something from you. See, I've been saying this for years. I've been saying that I predict that the military, the rulers, the elites, the powers that be are going to release leaks. They're going to release whistleblowers on mainstream media news. Let me tell you something. Whistleblowers don't get to be on mainstream media news. Those ideas don't coexist. If you are a whistleblower, you don't get on the major platform. You're in hiding. You're trying to find refuge somewhere because your life is being threatened. You don't get to be on the controlled media. But that's what they do. So they're convincing people that they're tracking some. I got duped into this as a teenager. As a teenager in my early 20s, I believed that I was tracking, that the government was hiding something from us. I saw the alien autopsy video, and I was like, they're trying to hide. I was tracking this stuff and saying, I want to know the truth, and aliens are real, and they're trying to say it's swamp gas and weather balloons and all this stuff. And what I didn't know is I was being duped. William Cooper talked about this. William Cooper, behold a pale horse. He worked in the government. He saw UFOs with his own eyes flying around and doing impossible maneuvers. And he thought, I'm going to tell everyone. I'm going to break this thing wide open. Wrote a book and was saying how aliens are real and the military is hiding them. And then he thought, wait a minute. What if this is exactly what they wanted me to do? They were hoping that I would become a whistleblower and leak out things to the public so that the public would hear the false as the truth. It's so deep. I don't even know how to put it into words for you guys. But when you keep looking this stuff up, you're going to see 3i Atlas and NASA hiding evidence. Why Avi Loeb Congress are demanding interstellar data to be released. 3i Atlas, the comet from another world, continues to baffle. 9 reasons this scientist is suspicious. The object screaming past the sun is a city-sized alien spacecraft. And here you'll see mainstream media sources like NBC News, News Nation. They're all interviewing this guy, on the edge of their seat. Like, tell us, Harvard professor, please tell us why you think that this is really an alien ship in disguise. Let me play it from YouTube so you can see that these are the ones that are getting, in 21 hours, about 1.5 million views. If I were to refresh this, it would probably be 1.5 million views in less than a full day, in 21 hours. And what is he saying? I'll play part of it just so you can get the general idea. Actually, I'm going to show you a clip that shows some of the things he's saying, and side by side with some predictive programming, actually. If you guys are on the same mindset as me, then you understand that Hollywood puts this stuff out, and predictive programming, it's Satan's prophecies. Basically, God does everything, and he reveals it through his prophets. He gives prophecy through the Bible, and Satan counterfeits everything God does. So, we have God's word. It's a book, ancient scrolls, and Satan says, you know what? I'm going to captivate the minds of humanity with glowing screens and $1 million budgets and, excitement and all these things. And I'm going to tell them my side of the story. I'm going to tell them my prophecies. I'm going to make God look like a villain. I'm going to make myself look like a hero. And I'm going to give that same story over and over and over and literally program the masses with my Hollywood spell that broadcasts over humanity. Here's the lady announces. You'll get the gist of what this guy believes from what she's saying here.
To like a side order of conspiracy theory with their servings of UFOs, he claims, Avi Loeb does, that NASA is keeping critical evidence about 3i Atlas away from public view.
And he is hailed as some hero, right? Because he wants the public to know the truth. Check this out. Here's predictive programming. This is from a show called, a TV series called Salvation, ironically. Called Salvation, okay? Man, all this stuff is so deep. I'm going to get into where I think all this is going, but this is put on a YouTube channel called God's Roadmap to the End. I never heard of it till today when somebody sent me this. And this was a very good catch. Check this out.
Project Atlas.
Atlas? I've never heard of it. What's Atlas?
Grace, don't say that word to anybody, ever.
The name is simply that it refers to the third interstellar object from outside the solar system that is visiting us. And Atlas is a telescope 0.5 meter in diameter in Chile that discovered it on July 1st, 2025.
Professor Krantz, it's Liam. I got a hit.
You got a hit?
Yeah, I'm going back to bed. And if you're lucky, I won't remember this in the morning.
They asked me to wake up at 3 a.m. To speak with them. And I actually woke up at 2 a.m.
There's a significant perturbation. Really? I've been running continual simulations, and there's something there that was not there 3 months ago.
Well, you know, a slight miscalculation could taint the results. Why don't you give me the data? I'll take a look.
Yes, it's already uploaded to your server.
So I was up, and then I noticed someone sent me an email and said, there is a new interstellar object.
3 months ago, through the Safeguard Survey System that catalogs near-Earth objects, NASA astronomer Dr. Edward Acosta discovered an asteroid 7 kilometers wide out near Jupiter, large enough to cause an extinction-level event.
Professor Loeb suspects that it might actually be alien technology scoping us out. And for those who like a side order of conspiracy theory with their servings of UFOs, he claims, Avi Loeb does, that NASA is keeping critical evidence about 3I Atlas away from public view.
Project Atlas, Grace, it was a weapon wielded by America using my guidance system.
So Katya was right. Atlas is a weapons program.
Yes, except the weapon was an asteroid.
What was found, and that's by multiple teams, there are 3 papers on that, we found nickel, a lot of nickel.
I have new information. It can't wait. Initially, we thought Samson was made of silicates, porous rock, but the collision this evening suggests it has an iron core. It's much denser than what we thought.
The only place where we found before much more nickel than iron is in alloys that we produce industrially, for example, for aerospace applications. So maybe the skin of this object is industrially produced.
None of your ideas will work because the asteroid has an iron core.
And as of a few hours ago, the first hint for a non-gravitational acceleration, meaning something is affecting its trajectory beyond gravity.
Liam, can't you see? Our math was correct. The asteroid did move.
But the trajectory, it hasn't changed.
Exactly. Because it's a hummingbird. It moved, and then it moved back.
So the question was, is it something other than a natural object? It followed the trajectory that was aligned with the planets around the sun. So perhaps it's on some reconnaissance mission.
It's not an asteroid. What?
Perhaps for a reason, if it's a technological object, that's the best time for it to do a maneuver when it's closest to the sun, to take advantage of the sun's gravity. That's what we do with our own spacecraft. And so the question is, will it appear on a different path after passing close to the sun? And of course, if that happens, the stock market may crash, because it would mean that, we have some risk involved.
If it's not an asteroid, what the hell is it?
Whatever it is, it's here.
It's here, guys. November, Atlas. It's about to get crazier. Look, this is what they want you to believe. I have to tell you that. I have to drill this into your minds if you already don't know. They want you to believe in aliens. It's all misdirection. It's all psychological warfare. It's reverse psychology. For years they told us no, it's not really aliens. It's not really UFOs. It's swamp gas and weather balloons. And now suddenly the media is like, oh, we got a whistleblower. Uh-oh, here's a Navy guy. He said the aliens are real. What about this guy? Oh, wait, NASA's trying to hide something. Wait, the government shut down. Oh, come on now. We want to know the truth. This is order out of chaos. They are manufacturing the chaos so that we will fall in for the order, because when you put fear in people that there are aliens coming, that there's asteroids coming, that there's riots, that there's race wars, that there's all these things going on, natural disasters everywhere, people will cry out for a savior. And Satan can come upon the scenes as a supernatural being doing lying signs and wonders, and miracle-working demons will deceive the entire world into believing that this is Christ. He has come. Look, the Jews, they rejected Christ. they're waiting for their Messiah, so they're already set up for it. The New Agers, they're waiting for Maitreya and all this stuff. Raelians, they're waiting for Jesus to come back on a spaceship. Everybody is set up to receive Christ coming and setting foot on earth, even though when you read prophecy, that's not what it says. It says he's coming like lightning flashes from the east to the west, that we're going to be caught up to meet the Lord in the air, not him coming down here performing miracles. Jesus said, if they say I'm in the secret chambers, don't go. If they say I'm in the desert, don't go. I'm not there. That's not me. But yet that's exactly what's going to happen. And I've been saying this, and I don't know, I hate to say like mark my word or something, but this hit me one day, and I really believe that this is going to happen, that Trump is being set up as this Antichrist decoy, that he's fulfilling all the prophecies of the Antichrist, and all these Trumpers are going to now say, wait a minute, I was duped. I fell for this wicked man. I fell for the Antichrist. And Satan will appear as an angel of light, destroy Trump, and whether it's for real or not. And then people will say, well, this has to be Christ because he just killed the Antichrist. The Antichrist came, now Christ is here. Satan knows that Christians are waiting for the Antichrist to appear first. And so my belief is that Satan is setting up the stage right now to make Trump look like an Antichrist. Look, they're calling him Cyrus. They're calling him Constantine. He's building this Arch of Baal, like rolling out AI surveillance, Stargate technology, and all these things. Everything that people didn't think Trump was going to do, now he's doing, right? And so now they're all falling for it and saying, oh, we've been deceived. We fell for the Antichrist. So there has been soft disclosure this whole time. Like everybody keeps waiting for, when's the aliens going to come on the White House, and they shake hands and it's this big disclosure. They've been giving us disclosure this whole time. December 2019, the U.S. created a space force. Why in the world would we have a military branch pointing weapons towards the heavens, right? Because they're telling us, oh, an asteroid's coming so close to Earth. Oh, we're seeing things in the sky, right? December 2019, we created a space force right during that time, right? COVID happened. And in 2020, there was a COVID relief legislation bill that had over 5,000 pages in it. And in that bill, for some reason about COVID and relief legislation and all this stuff, it said, we demand to know everything you know about UFOs. What do UFOs have to do with COVID? I don't know, but it was all to set the stage, right? During 2020, they started saying, yeah, we see things every day. We don't know what they are every day. We don't know if it's not our technology. It's not their technology. So it has to be something else. This is what Lou Elizondo and all these guys were saying. They were getting all this mainstream media attention saying, we don't know what they are, but they're not from here because it's not our technology, their technology. Then in 2023, they said a little bit more. It's always a little more, right? Because now we went from, oh yeah, we see some strange things to we actually communicate with non-human intelligences. This is what they're saying in U.S. congressional hearings. And like the judges or whoever are up there are saying, well, are they alien? And they're saying, well, we don't like to say alien exactly. We don't know what they are. They could be interdimensional. They're telling us we communicate with interdimensional beings. The military is telling us this. That is highly prophetic. And we will get into that. We will look at those verses. Highly prophetic that the militaries of the world are going to be communicating with interdimensional beings who are going to prepare them for a soon to come war. When this lady said that she thinks that aliens are fallen angels and, she got mocked and ridiculed and all that stuff, this is not a joke. This is not some tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. When you read the Bible, there are false gods mentioned by name. Baal was mentioned many times in the Bible by name. And where does he come from? Well, he represents the sun. He comes from Jupiter and Venus. He represents these heavenly bodies in the sky. An alien, if you will. This godlike being came from another planet or a star or a solar system or somewhere in the heavens. There was another one. Astaroth, Astarte, Ishtar. The word Astarte literally is where we get the word star from. And she represents Venus and the sun and the moon. So here's another godlike, supernatural, godlike creature, a woman with wings and owl feet who came from another planet. The Bible talks about aliens, literally, but they're not aliens in the sense that we've been programmed to believe. They're demons in disguise, and the Bible will tell you that clearly. Moloch or Molech represents the sun deity because Moloch and Baal were like one and the same. It says Moloch is sometimes linked to the sun god Baal, which would connect him to the sun. And if you believe, the solar system that we've been taught, then the sun is just one little star in a mix of unlimited stars out there, right? Tammuz represents Venus. So here's another alien that the Bible talks about, Tammuz. Artemis represents the moon and the night stars in the sky. So we can look at the Bible alone and history and see that humanity has had communication with quote unquote aliens, right? All throughout history. And this one is not in the Bible, but you can look at history and see etchings and writings and everything about the Anunnaki, a pantheon of gods, a pantheon of deities often described as the children of the sky and earth, prominent members including Anu, Enlil, and Enki. Shared belief system, ancient Sumerians, Akkadians, the Babylonians believed in the Anunnaki and their role in creation and controlling destiny. Now, I think that's interesting because the Bible talks about the dragon, that serpent of old, is going to deceive the entire world. How is he going to deceive every single belief system, every single different religion, even non-religious people like atheists? How is Satan going to deceive the entire world, including atheists? Well, atheists say, I'll believe it when I see it. God, show yourself to me. Well, God doesn't have to prove himself. He doesn't have to show himself to anyone. He believes in free will, and no atheist is going to shake their puny little fist at God if he cracked the sky open and revealed himself. So for God to reveal himself on that kind of level literally eliminates free will because you become an ant in the sight of some cosmic giant. But guess who will appear? Satan, disguised as visitants from other worlds. And it's happened already all through history. We literally have seen it in the Bible. We're seeing it in history that ancient people have had communication with beings from the stars. The heathens worshipped these beings from the stars. And Deuteronomy 32:17 says about these beings, they sacrificed unto devils, not to God, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not. So God's saying that these little g gods that they worshipped and sacrificed to, they were devils. They weren't gods. They're not gods. They're demons in disguise. What I was getting at is atheists do believe that aliens are real. Actually, if you watch the movie or the documentary Thinking Not Aloud or something like that, he was interviewing Richard Dawkins. And he said, what do you think about God? And he says, oh, God's a infanticidal, genocidal, homophobic, all these things. He's just tearing into God. And then the interviewer says, well, where do you think we came from? And he said, I don't know. We could have been seeded here by aliens. So a militant atheist is not opposed to the idea that we could have been seeded here by aliens. Well, who created the aliens? Well, we just saw that the Anunnaki, the people believe that the Anunnaki created us, that they're our creators. They're our gods, right? But these gods are devils, as the Bible says. Psalm 106:37 says, yea, they sacrifice their sons and daughters unto devils. These people thought they were sacrificing to gods like Molech and Baal, but no, they were devils. Leviticus 17:7 says, and they shall no more offer their sacrifices unto devils, after whom they have gone a whoring. This shall be a statute forever unto them throughout their generations. New Testament, 1 Corinthians 10:20. But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to God. and I would not that they should have fellowship with devils. So God is trying to keep us from fellowshipping with devils. Why? Not because he's trying to keep us from secret knowledge or wisdom or anything like that, right? But that's what Satan deceived Eve with. He said, if you eat this fruit that God's keeping you from, you'll be wise like him, knowing good and evil. You'll become like God. And so Eve fell for the trick. She got deceived. She ate the fruit thinking that she would become like God. And this has happened all through history, that fallen angels in disguise have given men technology and taught them how to do root cutting and hallucinogenic drugs and pharmakia, sorcery, all these things, teach them how to make weapons and all of this. All through history, this has been happening. And that is not what God wants us to do. He says, I do not want you to have fellowship with devils. And what is the military literally telling us that is happening at U.S. congressional hearings? They're saying, oh, we communicate with non-human intelligences. They're telling us this publicly on television, that they communicate with devils. Because the Bible says if you're communicating with interdimensional beings, they're devils. Devils in disguise. This is nothing new. This is exactly what happened to Eve. She was approached by a reptilian creature, an intelligent, beautiful, speaking reptilian creature that fell from the heavens and was promising her knowledge and wisdom. And I believe that's exactly what's going to happen in these last days, that the militaries of the world are communicating with these interdimensional beings, non-human intelligences, and they're learning how to make anti-gravity craft. They're getting wisdom and knowledge from these higher level beings, these higher evolved beings. So what I predict is that soon and very soon, the government is going to say, look, we didn't want to cause chaos. We didn't want to cause fear and panic, but we can't hide it anymore. We have to let you know that aliens are here, and they've been here for thousands of years living among us, and they've never harmed us. Actually, they've actually helped us throughout the years. They've disarmed nukes. They've done this and that. They have helped us along the way because, if anybody's ever had a miraculous healing from an angel or something like that, you can guarantee they're going to say that was the aliens doing that. And they're going to say, look, the aliens have been among us this whole time and they've never hurt us. In fact, they are here to help us because there is an evil alien invader coming to Earth. And unless we side with them, humanity is going to become extinct. And what you're going to have is humans siding with demons in disguise in a fight against Christ. If you think that sounds like some sci-fi movie, it does, but it's actually prophecy. In Revelation 16, 13, and 14, it says, I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, out of the mouth of the false prophet, for they are the spirits of devils. So these unclean spirits that are like frogs are actually the spirits of devils. And what are they doing? They're working miracles. They're flying around in ships and defying physics and doing things that we've never seen them do. Actually, Chris Bledsoe said that he was healed of his Crohn's disease by aliens. And so now he believes that they are good angels just because they healed him. But what does the Bible say? They're miracle working devils, which go forth to the kings of the earth and of the whole world. Yeah, the military who's on U.S. congressional hearings right now. These devils are rounding up the kings of the whole world to gather them to the battle of the great day of God Almighty. This is the time we're living in right now. This is no longer far future prophecy. We are living in this prophecy right now, where the military is openly admitting we communicate with these beings. And look at this. This came up when I looked up this lady, what she said and how she was mocked and ridiculed for thinking that these are demons. And this article came up in the Times, written by this James Marriott person. And it says, in an age of demons, we must fight to enlighten. The ease with which the world has slipped back into superstition shows how badly we need the crusading spirit of the 18th century Enlightenment thinkers. This was written November 3rd, my birthday, yesterday. This was written yesterday. It's hard to read the news without lapsing into a misty-eyed reverie on the lost virtues of the Enlightenment. Last week, the U.S. Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene suggested that UFOs are probably demons or fallen angels expelled from heaven for their sins. That, she said, is what makes sense in my worldview. Well, who can argue with such logic? This person is being so sarcastic and saying your archaic beliefs that aliens are actually demons are just that, these archaic beliefs, and shame on you for even thinking that way. You're a caveman. Get out of our society because we live in a society that embraces demons. I mean, aliens. See, if you speak out against these beings, you will be looked at as a hater. You will be looked at as a bigot, as some archaic caveman because of this right here. This is the type of stuff that got us into that mindset. Is it wrong to not address someone as what they identify themselves as? And the answer says, it's not only disrespectful, it's hateful behavior on the part of the person doing it and harmful to the transgender person being harassed. So this is the context of transgender. But look, where do you draw that line when it comes to what you identify as, right? Because maybe you identify as a dog. Maybe you identify as a cat. Or maybe you identify as an alien like this person. After having some fingers and his ears removed, the black alien abandons his body modification project. So this guy identifies as an alien. Now, if we live in a world where you must conform to people's identity, then what do you think is going to happen when beings from another world come? You're calling them a demon. They're going to say, you're a hater. We need to embrace these people. We need to have open borders for everything. You know, universal open borders. Let all the aliens come in, right? Thank you for the thumbs down, guys. Every little bit helps. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Let me see. We got 2 thumbs down. Thanks, guys. Now, Bill Maher could barely believe Marjorie Taylor Greene's insane Jewish space laser thing is real. I think aliens probed her and her brains fell out. So here's where he's responding to her post, which I'm going to read now. She made this post on X, and it's long. I'm not going to read all of it, but she said there's 70 people confirmed dead, 1,000 missing people in the California fires, and it's tragic. And she's praying for the people, but she says right here, she says, all right, it's a lot. I'm not going to read all this, but basically in here, she does talk about lasers, and she says, I really hope they have very good aim beaming the sun's power down to Earth. But what do I know? I just like to read a lot. Now, if you think this is crazy, check out Popular Mechanics, DARPA. The space laser wars have begun, and America wants to be first to develop a high-powered weapons. Now, this article came out this month, or this year, 2025. They're saying that they want to do it. Here's Space Force, actually, with their video about lasers. And here's USA Today saying that an image captures U.S. Navy testing its new laser weapons. What to know about Helios? They always name everything they do after pagan gods. That's not a coincidence. It lines up with exactly this study right here. This was also this year. But when you really look into declassified things, Congress.gov talks about Department of Defense directed energy weapons, background and issues for Congress. This was 2024 that it got declassified and shown to the public, and here it's talking about Helios. Here's GAO.gov, Science and Tech Spotlight. This was 2023, and they're talking about their laser weapon systems. What about this one? ndia.org. There's a whole manual on directed energy weapons supply chains. They are creating these things, January 2024. This is not conspiracy theory. Don't let people label you that way just because you actually question the narrative. Look at this, said cleared for open publication August 18th, 2023. That's when it became public. The need for speed, the case for continued development of hypersonic and directed energy weapons. Now, I want to show you a clip from a show called Yo Gabba Gabba, because this is a type of propaganda that is teaching, that is actually programming us to not judge aliens, right? Because they're just, they're friendly. They're just people like us, right? Listen to this.
Super Martian robot girl! Yeah!
A small town street on a normal looking day, and suddenly...
Excuse me, miss. Do you like my new hair? Oh!
Monster! Oh no, you're judging the monster. So basically this monster keeps coming out to different people and he's trying to show off his haircut and everybody's scared of him. And then Super Martian Robot Girl, Martian Robot AI, it's literally alien AI girl that is the superhero for your kids. And this is what she says.
I think he just wants to ask us all a question.
Yes, that's true. I just wanted to know if you like my new haircut.
Oh. Mr. Monster might look different than us, but that doesn't mean he's scary.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, what does everyone think of my new hairstyle?
Wow, that's
Oh,
actually
that's the
really
best
good.
hair
Where
ever.
did
Lovely,
you get
yes.
that done?
Very
Can I
flattering.
get the number?
My work here's done.
Super Martian Robot Girl. And when you look at this is always the same. Every time it ends, she says up here, my work here is done. Goodbye, everyone. Yay. And all these people are cheering. But what do you see here? An alien and a demon. And they're, cheering together. They're always friends. Every one of these episodes that I've ever seen is literally about the same thing. There was another one where there was like a shrimp monster and it's always some alien creature that is just trying to be friendly and people are scared until Super Martian Robot Girl comes along and she says, oh, you shouldn't be scared. They're just different. This is how propaganda works. It's veiled in a veneer of, oh, it's teaching kids to not, judge other people, make fun of other people, or be scared of people who are a little bit different. But these are monsters. This isn't somebody in a wheelchair or somebody disabled or something like that, or a different race. They're monsters. They're aliens, right? They're demons in disguise. This made me think of the movie The Eternals. I've never seen the movie, but I looked up a synopsis with spoilers because I was like, I'm never going to watch this movie. Give me the spoilers. Notice how it says, in the beginning. Where do we hear that? In the Bible, right? What do we see here? A UFO. I've seen the previews. I've seen the trailer. In the trailer, there's this UFO that comes, and it looks like it's appearing to different cultures of the world, maybe even different timelines, because I saw them in front of the walls of Babylon, interestingly enough. And they're the Eternals. They've been around for thousands of years watching. And this is what the monologue is saying. We've been watching and we have never interfered until now. And I was like, I can just predict. This stuff is so predictable. I was like, I bet this movie is about these aliens that come to humanity and, they've been watching, but they never interfered until now because there's a threat to the world and these aliens are going to unite with humanity to fight against this one threat, right? Because that's exactly what the Bible says is going to happen when demons trick humanity into fighting against Christ. And I read it, and sure enough, it's exactly what the movie is about. And notice when this movie came out, November. Wait a minute. Aren't we being told that aliens are going to come in November? Look at this, man. None of this stuff is coincidence. All these people are obsessed with numerology, with predictive programming. This is not an accident. And it brings me to Reagan's speech. Because what did he say? We know We know that we're looking for a new world order to happen, right? A one world government, a one world religion, the mark of the beast, all these things. What is it? The digital ID is coming. You know what's so messed up about digital ID? It connects one ID system to everything you own. Your car, your phone, your electricity, all that stuff. And when AI takes over most everyone's jobs, this is what Elon said, we're going to have to change to some kind of new universal credit system. What is that system? That would be the social credit system, where you get rewarded for being a good citizen, because we're going to make everyone like robots. And if you jaywalk, well, your credit score goes down. You don't get to eat today. But if you go to the universal church, the one world church, well, you'll have enough points that you can buy food for the whole week. Just go to church, man. It's no big deal. It's a great place. It's all about coexistence and love and unity and peace and safety. Just go. Just bow to the image at the sound of the music. It's no big deal, man. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you guys are zealots. You're extremists. Just bow down, man. It's just a statue. No big deal. Everyone's doing it. This is what's coming, guys. Digital IDs. If you do something wrong, maybe you did something immoral, well, your electricity gets cut off. Your car doesn't run because they're all Teslas now. And so how are we going to get to this new world order? How are we going to get everyone to be a part of this one world system? Well, Reagan had something interesting to say at the United Nations.
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
Yeah, it's called 3i Atlas. Look, guys, the stage is being set. That speech was like 1978 or something. I can't remember the exact year, but look it up. Reagan's speech. He said it over and over. He always talked about this, how our differences would just go away if we were threatened by some alien threat. And you don't think Satan's going to use that tactic, right? Carol Rosen was the mouthpiece for Wernher von Braun, who was a Nazi scientist who became a NASA scientist, a rocket scientist. And this is what she said that he was telling her in his last days. And this clip is 20 years old.
When I was a corporate manager of Fairchild Industries in 1974 through 77, I met the late Dr. Wernher von Braun in early 74. Von Braun's purpose in life during the last years of his life, his dying years, was to educate the public and decision makers about why space-based weapons are a dumb, dangerous, destabilizing, too costly, unnecessary, unworkable, undesirable idea. The strategy that Wernher von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in 74, they were the enemy, the identified enemy. We were told that they had killer satellites. We were told that they were coming to get us and control us, the dirty commies, that whole story. First, the Russians were the enemy against whom we're going to build space-based weapons. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. But he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would be needing to build space-based weapons. And the next enemy was asteroids. Now at this point, he kind of chuckled the first time he said it. Asteroids, against asteroids, we're going to build space-based weapons. So it was funny then. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie.
So the stage is being set, guys. Like, he knew something in his last days, Wernher von Braun. And he was warning her. He was starting to have a guilty conscience about what he was a part of. And he was telling her, look, these space-based weapons, laser beams, directed energy weapons. Ooh, you're crazy. Jewish laser beams. You're a conspiracy theorist, anti-Semitic, racist. That's what they accuse you of if you believe in the truth of directed energy weapons. We literally looked at the declassified documents about them, but they label you a conspiracy theorist, anti-Semitic, all these things, right? She said that Wernher von Braun was saying, they're going to be telling you about terrorists, they're going to be telling you about asteroids and comets, and then it's going to be the alien card, the final card. We're being told that this month aliens are coming, and conveniently the government shut down and NASA won't release the photos, and so they're pushing this whole thing that NASA's hiding the truth, and we need to know. This is what they want. This is what they want. They want you to believe that the power is in your hands to get the truth out there. And I fell for it. I think this is a very interesting tombstone that Wernher von Braun has, because he has a Bible verse on there. This is on PBS. This is on Nova, PBS website. And it says Psalm 19:1. Does anybody know what's so interesting about Psalm 19:1? I'm assuming he put this on his own tombstone. Like, he requested that this be put on his tombstone. Psalm 19:1 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork." Now, this might be completely new to some of you, but I believe the Bible. And when you read Genesis, you'll see that during creation, the whole world was nothing but water until God put a firmament in the midst of the water that divided the waters below from the waters above. Now, some people will say, oh, that was the clouds. The clouds that hold water, they're waters above, or the atmosphere. Well, then you have a really big problem, because right after that, it says that God put the sun, moon, and stars in the firmament. That would be in the atmosphere or in the clouds. So according to what we've been taught our whole life, indoctrination camps that we grew up in, we were told that we're on this spinning rock in an ever-expanding universe and everything's twisting and turning, but that's not what we see. You look at time-lapse pictures of the stars. You point at the North Star and it makes perfect circles, not some spiral graph. When there's so many things that prove that there literally is a firmament over our head that divides the waters above from the waters below. Stars literally look like LED lights underwater. Now, I'm saying this, it might be completely crazy to you. You might not even believe it, but I believe the Bible. And I believe that science backs up what the Bible says. Over and over, the Bible talks about the firmament, and in the Hebrew, it says that it's a solid structure that was beaten out with a hammer. That is not some magical ozone layer or atmosphere that you can fly up enough until you go pop out into outer space where there's weightlessness. The reason I'm bringing this up is because it's the truth of the Word of God. And when you understand where we live and God's creation, you will know that there are no such thing as asteroids and comets and aliens coming to Earth. This is literally a demonic deception. If you don't understand that by now, I pray that this has opened your mind some. Please go to our channel, scroll through our lives, and I give a whole presentation on proving that aliens are demons in disguise. They're spiritual beings. They defy the laws of physics. They walk through walls. They enter into people. People channel them. People summon them through New Age meditation. You don't have some visitant from a galaxy millions of light years away just show up because somebody's meditating in a field. It makes no sense. All of this is a spiritual deception, and we know that Satan is going to deceive the entire world. That's what is soon to come. Guys, we are living in the last days. I hope that is clear to you. We see that there are miracle-working demons going forth to the kings of the earth, rounding them up to fight against Christ. We have a space force, literally with weapons pointed towards the heavens, getting ready for this battle. We are being told by the military that at U.S. congressional hearings that we communicate with non-human intelligences. And we know that the Bible says that all these false gods and anything that you're talking to that isn't human is a demon in disguise. The military is telling us we communicate with demons, and soon we are going to be uniting with them in a battle against Christ because the Bible prophecy says it is true. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you disliked it, please give it a thumbs down. Any interaction with this video helps it get into the algorithm. This truth needs to be told. This truth needs to be heard. And we live in 2025, man. It's time to wake up and start listening to other people's perspectives and stop mocking and ridiculing somebody because they believe something differently than you. Keep an open mind. Listen to all sides. That's how I got to where I'm at today, because I've always been a truth seeker. I've always wanted to know the truth, even if it goes against everything I've ever thought to be true. I want to know truth. And right now, there's controlled propaganda that's saying if you believe that aliens are demons, you're some archaic caveman and you're a bigot and you need to get out of here. You need to be locked up in a loony bin. But let's keep listening to this Harvard scientist professor because he has a lab coat and a degree and he says that it's aliens coming. So we're about to face something really crazy. I hope you guys are ready. I hope I'm ready. I hope this was eye-opening to you. Please share this with your family and friends. If you're new to this channel, click subscribe, click the notification bell so you don't miss another show that we do. If you want to support this ministry, we are completely 100% donation-based besides when we go speak places. If you want to support this ministry, invite us to your church, invite us to your school, invite us to your event. You can also give through Cashapp, Venmo, Zelle, and PayPal. It's the end of the year. People are looking for ministries to give to for that tax-deductible gift. Please consider giving to us. If you like t-shirts, we got a lot of cool t-shirts on our website, CandidTruthOrg. Check those out. And we get about $5 on everything that sells on there. We love you guys. We cannot do this without you guys. If you have been a faithful giver, we see you and we thank you, and we cannot thank you enough. It's all thanks to you that we can even do this. And we will see you next time on Candid Truth.